Okay, here's our passenger side all put back together. I had to make 2 videos because if you don't, you only get so much time to make a video, and if you have a long pause in between, then it's going to just cut the video and it'll force you to make a new one. Anyway, I went to go ahead and take the slide pins out and disassemble this to go ahead and get everything lubed up before I put it back together. And when that happened, I found a broken slide pin. This is our slide pin right here, broken in 2 pieces, and the end of it here is all bent. So I don't know if something in the road jumped up and hit it. But anyway, it ended up, I had to pause for a minute. What I had to do is go ahead and just, these are about $15, the slide pins. I just had to order a new set of slide pins from the auto parts store and have them send them over real quick. And then I was able to go ahead and lube up the new slide pins and install them. Lube up all the mounting bolts, reinstall them. Again with our pad, with our anti-squeak compound, plenty of lube in the brake hardware, and plenty of lube in the slides. So everything's done 100% professionally. And that's just about it. I'm going to tighten it back up, and then one last thing that we do, you never know when you're going to have to bleed your brakes, but this is something a lot of people neglect, and a lot of other shops don't even do this. But this shiny thing over here, this is your bleeder screw. If you ever get air in the brake line, and sometimes you can, especially when the pads are completely gone, like it was on the other side, and you start rubbing metal on metal, that creates a lot of heat. And what it can do is it can boil the brake fluid out of the caliper and back up into the line. And then what you end up with, you end up with air in the brake line. So I don't know that happened in this case. You won't know until after a test drive. Once you put the brakes all back together, you go ahead and take her for a test drive. When you apply the brake driving straight down the road, if the car pulls either to the right or to the left, then it's telling you that you have air in one of the brake lines or possibly a bad caliper. But anyway, what we go ahead and do, I don't think that's going to be the case anyway with this, hopefully. But what we do is we spray a little bit of lube on that bleeder screw. And then we go ahead and take a wire brush. Here we are. We go ahead and take a wire brush, and we just wire brush around it and clean it up. And that gets the rust. We're getting the rust off of that bleeder screw. So in the event that we ever have to open it in the future, a lot of times what happens is these things rust in here and they become seized up and corroded, and then you can't go ahead and get them out, and you have to end up replacing the whole caliper just because you need to bleed the brakes. And I'm pretty good at getting them out even when they're seized up. There's a couple of tricks we have, but just a preventative measure. We go ahead and lube it up. We clean the rust off of it like I did. And then we go ahead and get some of our blue assembly lube, my favorite. You've seen me using this throughout this entire brake job. We go ahead and smother it in blue assembly lube that keeps it nice and greasy. And then we go ahead and put our protective cover back on. And then in the future, if we need to go ahead and bleed the brakes, it should be real easy to go ahead and break that open and bleed the brakes. So that's about it. I'm going to wrap it up, put the tires back on. I'm going to take it for a test drive, make sure everything's working the right way, and then we'll get your car back to you.